Hi, friends. This is your uh, uh, coach Sundareswaran speaking again. A few days back, if you remember, I had started for creating a video related to coaching, right? So, what is this video trying to do? This is now going to expand a little bit further in terms of how does that piece actually work, right? What is the framework that we use? So you can treat this as some kind of a workshop on career guidance and development. What I'm going to do in this is, in terms of, I'm going to lay out a purpose, agenda, and time limit of how this needs to work. So first, let me emphasize one thing. And I mean, if you guys agree, then, please share it in the comments. If you disagree, if you have a different view as well, please let me know. But there's a big importance of having a person as a coach in our professional lives. And somewhere, that has not been understood very well. There are many reasons for that. Sometimes we think that we know everything. Sometimes we are not ready to have somebody else. And, many reasons can be there, right? And it's also not that easy to find somebody who can be a coach for you. So that importance is not understood well enough. Those kind of people are not available. So we all need a coach or a mentor who can guide us to bring our best self forward in our professional lives, right? And there are a lot of frameworks that are available these days for how it has to be done. So there is one framework which is called as the ICF framework. It's a global standard. So that's one thing which everybody can use. And also one needs to keep in mind that, at the end of the day, we are all employees of a particular organization. And in that organization, it's employees first and customers second. So if the organization takes care of us, the employees, then their customers will also be successful and their business will also do well. So I am proposing an approach here. This approach, of course, talks of the principles of the ICF and the EFCS concept at the beginning. It also uses something called as a capability, right? And we divide the capabilities, which is there required from a coaching standpoint, as 7 C's. So what are these 7 C's capabilities? These are different kinds of capabilities which we work on as a joint partnership between the coach and the coachee, right? So they take each of these capabilities and then they go into the details of it in terms of what's the current state of the capability, right? In terms of the coachee's capability. Then we can define the goals. Where does the coachee want to be as far as this capability is concerned? Identify what are the gaps and then work on the action plan for improvement. So that's how this entire framework and approach works. And here, of course, we use the word coach and coachee, right? So coach is the person who's giving the coaching and coachee is the person who's receiving the coaching, right? But it's always a two-way communication, right? So sometimes the coach also learns from the coachee as well. So there's no hard and fast, one-way communication rule only here. It's a two-way communication. The most important thing, like I said, importance of having a coach is very important, but also the other important thing is having a time-bound, outcome-based approach for coaching. Both the coach and the coachee should be committed to that end goal, and they should agree on certain activities which needs to be done, and those activities need to get over by a certain point of time, right? Or we need to check back. So there has to be a frequency of interaction. So it can't happen just one discussion and then everything is over. So the duration, mode, type, and frequency of discussions would obviously be defined, based on the nature of the agreement, nature of the requirement, and so on and so forth. And of course, it'll all start with a comprehensive review of the entire career history of the coachee, which can be based on the 7 C's capabilities and resume reviews and all of that stuff. So what are these 7 C's capabilities, right? So look at it in this way. In any individual, when that individual is working either as a team member, team player, or a team leader, right? And when I say a team leader, it can be a team leader who's handling a 50 individual contributors. It can also be a team leader who's handling the entire organization, right? The CEO is also a team leader only. So the first and most important thing is consulting. So consulting is related to the knowledge of that individual, right? And in fact, what I'll do is I won't elaborate on this slide too much. I'll just take you through this. So these are the 7 C's. So just to give you an idea, one needs to know as an individual, one needs to have as a coachee, one needs to know where that person stands as far as consulting is concerned, coordinating is concerned, communicating, competence building, campaigning, coaching, and collaborating. So these are the 7 C's. Now, what does each of these 7 C's stand for? So as in consulting, right, here we are focused on what are the specializations of the coachee, where others look up towards them and consult them for advice and guidance. Now, there are different ways of looking at it, right? So the coachee may be very new to the organization, so maybe nobody looks up towards them at all for this. Then the idea is, okay, fine, where do you develop that capability? What is that area you find very exciting for yourself? What is that area where you feel that you can do something in this space, right? So take that up and do it. A coordinator or coordination. So very important because it's related to the linking of the various constituencies of the organization to the action with each other. And whether you're an IC or your team leader, it's very important. Everybody is continuously looking at how well do you understand what's happening in the rest of the organization? How do you understand the various interlinkages? Communication, communicator, very important, right? So how well do you communicate? Sometimes, what happens many times is people have a lot of aspirations, what they want for themselves in terms of knowledge, experience, learning, but they just keep it with themselves. They don't share it with anybody. So that's very important. How do you put it across? How do you listen? What kind of feedback you give? It also becomes important for team leaders as well. Competence builder, very closely related to consulting and the knowledge part. And it's about what's the level of expertness. And the coach is actually building the competence in others as well and seen as somebody who builds that. A coach and facilitator. So, this is related to the skill of the people leaders, right? As a coach, if a coachee is a people leader or a team leader, then how well are they managing it? In terms of coaching their team members, do the team members look up to them? Do they help them to succeed? Do they facilitate them to succeed or not? Campaigner, very important, right? So one of the things one has to clearly do as a self-assessment as a coach is, okay, I work for such and such organization. So am I a person who bats for the organization in the outside world, right? Or am I a person who talks ill about my organization in the outside world, right? So you, as a coachee, the positive trait is that you shouldn't, but that doesn't mean that if you're doing it, doesn't mean that you are a bad person, right? But probably what it means is there is a need for improvement. You need to figure out why you're doing things like that and what you could do better, right? So you need to be a campaigner. It's very important also for people leaders because you need to draw more people to the organization, and you need to be aligned well with the vision and mission of the organization. Then only you can be successful and happy at your work. Leave alone things like promotion and compensation increase and all those are later. Those will come later, right? But the first and most important thing is, are you happy doing the job, right? When you get up in the morning and you think about going to the office, then is it like, wow, today is going to be another great day? Or is it like, oh, do I really need to go to office today, right? So there are two different emotions there. And then, of course, collaboration is the most important thing. Why this collaboration comes at the end is because it's as you can see from the previous slide, right? It's the center point of everything. So when all of these things put together come in, that's when the entire piece goes. Each of these competencies can be broken down. Each of these capabilities can be further broken down into competencies. Like consultant needs to have analyzing, challenging, influencing competencies as well. We'll come to that later. And one of the things also to keep in mind is that all of these things get put together when it comes to a person who's receiving the coaching, the coachee, and when it comes to a person who's giving the coaching, the coach. And so that will be it, friends, from my side for today. There's a continuation video of this that will come that will be related to the approach flow itself as to how does this entire thing work. And so that is something we'll park for our next video. So thank you, and look forward to your encouragement and support on this. Thank you.